I started with Jeff. Jeff is on the SCW faculty. He leads our group exercise certification. He has also led our yoga certification. He leads our aqua certification. Very talented individual. He owns his own club, and as crazy as it sounds, he launched it during the pandemic. It's called Jeff Howard's Athletes Club. He's got a very successful streaming channel, and he actually is out of Louisville, Kentucky. And we have the fantastic Amber Toole, who is so gracious. I still keep this on my desk. I don't know if you can see this. She wrote me a personal thank you note. Oh my gosh. She has to be in the South. Where are you from, Amber? Where are you from again?
I'm originally from Vidalia, Georgia, but I live in Ocala, Florida.
There you go. Well, you went even further south, but we'll forgive you for that. But it's just, Amber is passionate about spreading the truth about health and wellness. She has a degree in physical education and health. She's a certified personal trainer. She has been a consultant, and in the fitness industry, I can't lie, I'm going to say almost 3 decades, because it's been 29 years. So welcome, Amber. She's a wealth of knowledge. And one of my most favorite people that we just discovered is Dr. Sam. It's kind of like Madonna. She just uses her first name. Okay. Dr. Sam. It's Dr. Samantha Davis. She's a former collegiate athlete. She's also a doctor of physical therapy. She's got a degree in biology, 10 years experience in physical therapy. She also is certified in selective function movement assessments, functional movement screening, instrument assisted soft tissue mobilization. We're all staying after this webinar to get touched later, I'm sure. And therapeutic cupping. Okay. Yeah, we'll all sign up for that. So, and she works with a company that distributes a really cool line of, can I say, supplements?
You can.
I can. I'm going to start with that. I'm going to start with you, Dr. Sam, because the first thing we started with that we talked about is our clients are consistently bombarded with quick fix pills, okay? And as professionals, how can we as fitness professionals distinguish what may actually help them and what is just a waste of their time and money? And I'm going to call on you, Amber, about when we talk about all the different multivitamins we can take. But it's very interesting. Creatine is one of the most researched supplements to date. And what does it do and why is it so effective? And please help us, Dr. Sam, with elaborating and elucidating the 3 energy systems.
Yes. Well, first and foremost, thank you so much for just inviting me to this platform and to share today. I am definitely excited to be here for the first time with SCW, and your leadership, Sara, is amazing. So thank you. But yes, the creatine craze is definitely rising. And to really understand what the creatine is, we really do have to break down the 3 energy systems. So our body needs energy, and it gets it 3 different ways. The first way is called our ATP phosphocreatine system. So this is something that's, natural. Creatine is really in our bodies. It's naturally in our bodies, mainly in our skeletal muscles and also in our brain. Our body uses the creatine, and it connects with phospho to create creatine phosphocreatine, right? And then it goes through a process that produces APT. This first system is the quick system. This is something where, people that, run or sprinting or jumping, golf swings, this is a system that really gets used. It produces energy quickly, but it's not long lasting. Okay. Then you go to your second system, which is your glycolytic system. This is a system that uses mainly carbohydrates. So that's why you hear people wanting to carb load before they exercise. Well, they're using that second system. It gives you ATP quickly, but again, it's not long lasting. Okay. And then we have a third system that's called our oxidative system. This is the system that takes longer to produce APT, but it gives us more ATP, which means more energy, but it uses carbohydrates, it can use fats, and it can use proteins. takes it through a process called the Krebs cycle. It uses this thing called the electron transport chain. It's a lot of chemistry, but in the end, it produces a lot of ATP, hence more energy for your body. This is a system where your runners would use, your marathon runners would use this system more, and it requires oxygen. The first two systems don't require any oxygen to be present for the process to take place. So creatine really affects that first system because that's where we're getting that energy from.
So now that I kind of understand it, I always think about this and I put this in a form of exercise. I'm going to need that creatine for my HIIT class. I'm going to need that creatine when my 3-year-old, let's just call him a grandchild. When my 3-year-old grandchild, which I don't have yet, which I'm going to have someday, tries to run into the street and I've got to grab him, right, Dr. Sam?
Right.
So it's this fast moving stuff. So if it's this research supplement, what does it do? Why is it so effective? Why should people be supplementing with this, or should they?
That's a good question. To me, I feel like there's so many more natural ways to get creatine that you don't necessarily need to supplement with it. One, many people don't even know their normal daily creatine intake that you can get when you have a healthy diet. A lot of times people are supplementing with things that they necessarily don't need because they don't have a deficiency in it. So when you think about, there's research out there that's trying to claim that it can help with building muscle mass or helping with leaning muscle mass or increasing your performance. Well, if you do have an increased concentration of creatine available for that first system to use, then your muscles are going to have a little bit more energy to perform a little bit better. Hence, then you're able to increase, your performance level, but not necessarily needing it from a supplement of creatine, because the way it's synthesized, meaning it's man-made, okay, meaning it's going to be taken through chemicals or artificial substances that you're also introducing into your body, which you already are attacked by so many other toxins and chemicals. Why use something in the form that you're going to mainly see out there is creatine monohydrate. Okay, there's a lot of different types of forms out there, but the most studied form is the monohydrate form, and it's still synthesized and made with chemicals and other substances that you don't really understand that you're putting in your body. So I'm always like, risk versus reward. Am I going to really risk putting something in my body that's not well studied, that the long-term effects aren't well studied, that potentially might help me perform better, but on the flip side has so many other adverse side effects, when I can turn to normal foods, a healthy diet, to get that amount of creatine that my body really needs to thrive?
And I think that Amber was talking about that. Amber, you also found some studies, I think.
I did, for the BCAAs.
Okay, for the BCAAs, but you were talking, I'm going to jump into like multivitamins. Do we need to supplement the multivitamins?
All right, so I learned this way back in college from one of my college professors, and he told us that multivitamins just make expensive urine. And I have never forgotten that. And I have passed that on to many of my clients going through, because people ask all the time, should I be taking one? Now, I want you and I want my clients to look at their daily health behaviors. What are you doing to fuel your body to make sure you're getting all of the vitamins and minerals that you need? And first off, we know that eating a wide variety of fruits and vegetables, if you've ever heard eat the rainbow, we want to eat lots of different colors of those fruits and vegetables, because each different color gives us a different vitamin and mineral, sometimes multiple vitamins and minerals that we need for our bodies. It's so much better to get it from a whole food diet as opposed to reaching for a pill to try to just throw the pill in there and see what we might even be able to absorb. A lot of the multivitamins just aren't even, they're not really quality. And so we're not really even getting what we need from those either.
Well, and I'm also going to ask you, everybody talks about rainbows And Jeff, just one sec. And I also eat a wide variety of colorful fruits, and I use frozen fruits. Is that okay?
Absolutely, because fruits and vegetables that are picked at their prime ripeness and they're usually immediately flash frozen, which means that they're keeping more of the vitamins and minerals in them than the ones that have to go through shipping and sitting out at the store. So they lose a little bit of that as they go along. Not that we don't want you to eat fresh fruits and vegetables, they're fine as well, but frozen sometimes are a little bit better. So that's great, Sarah.
That's interesting. Jeffrey?
I just wanted to add that I think that, when it comes to multivitamins, it also depends on the individual that you're training, perhaps, because maybe they're a little bit more mature and they might need that. Like, I think Dr. Sam, you said it best, that it depends if there's a hole in the gap of like what they're not getting in their diet. So it will feed in there. But I think that somebody that's a healthy individual, I agree with everybody on the panel. I think that we should be getting our vitamins through food. But I know of more mature clients that have been told by their doctors to take multivitamins because maybe they're not getting everything they need from their diets. But do you remember this? It's interesting, Sam, I know real quick, but do you remember, Sarah, I know you and I are close to age. I think they're a lot younger than us, but we grew up having to take multivitamins every morning as a kid. Do you remember that, Sarah? Like
Oh my gosh.
We had the Flintstones.
And do you remember the gummy vitamins? I just ate them because they were packed with sugar.
Yeah, and that's what I think we all did, but we were made to take them. So it's interesting, the different concepts. Sam, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you're perfectly fine. I was just going to add with, supplementing. When you're thinking about supplementation, you're really thinking about filling that gap. Like you said, Jeff, it's all about filling a gap, not replacing food. I definitely am a food first approach for sure. However, on the same token, we have to realize that over the years, our soil here in the US, and I was, mentioning that earlier, is getting nutrient depleted. It's stomped on. It doesn't hold the nutritional value that it used to. There's even some articles out there in surveys showing that, percentages of the nutrients that was in our soil before is just not there because of the way things are cultivated. And when you have to figure out your body, you have to listen to your body, also, listen to your healthcare professional, but at the same time, you may need to supplement with natural third-party tested type things, things that are going to be beneficial for your body when the gap needs to be filled. Because sometimes there are micronutrients that is just not in our food. Even if you eat is clean, have, all of the organic foods, sometimes there's still a deficiency because of the soil.
Yeah, I was talking to my son about this because he's getting his PhD next week in bioinformatics, and he's already got his master's degree in biology, but he's very into nutrition and food. And I said to him, I'm only buying organic. I'm only and he looked at me like, you think it's really organic, Mom? Do you understand that the chemicals in the air they just spread, and it ends up being in different places, and it is about the nutrients in the soil. And instead of letting the soil have time to rest and maybe growing a plant in another field and then coming back to the field, like you said, Dr. Sam, it is getting depleted, and that's a little bit scary.
Can I say something real quick too? I just want to add to that even. We have to be very aware of the food we're having that is sealed in plastics. A lot of the salads and stuff people are getting that are in that sealed plastic, that there's a toxic chemical that gets released from those plastic containers. And so we have to be aware of that as well, that why is it that when you have a head of lettuce in your fridge, it goes bad quickly? But those bags of vegetables or fruits or mixed salads will last 2 weeks. And it's because there's a chemical on there. And so I think that we have to also educate people with, when we're doing things, the quick way is not maybe always the best way. You guys, what do you think?
Totally agree.
Yeah, Amber?
Yes, and it's so much easier, when you go in the store and you see all of those little heads of lettuce out there just free. You can just grab one of those, wash it up good, and chop it up. It really doesn't take that long to chop up some salad.
Yes, and it tastes better.
Yes, it does.
That's something that I used to buy the corn. I know corn doesn't have as many nutrients, but it is yellow. I gotta eat a rainbow. So
got a little fiber.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you. And I would buy the ones that were already peeled and all ready. And it's like, oh, my husband will think I'm such the Susie homemaker. And then one day they didn't have the packaged corn. They really wanted to have corn. So I actually had to husk it myself, which maybe took, I don't know, 10 seconds. And the flavor was so much better.
Mm-hmm.
And I think flavor also intimates, you know, the nutrients and vitamins that you can pull out of your food, which is important. The next question we were talking about was CBD, which seems to be a big craze in the fitness world. And what are some of the benefits and how trustworthy is it?
I want to kind of start with that one because here in Louisville, when CBD first came out about 2 years ago, right? You know, about a year before COVID hit and everything else, I was working at a situation that was associated with a hospital, and I wanted to bring CBD in there were CBD creams that people wanted to use for arthritis and stuff. I remember my demographic at the club I was at, 45% of my demographic was 65 years and older. And so our massage therapist was trying to use it on problemed areas. And so we had a big fight. There was too much unknown about CBD. And then it really is about how the CBD is derived and how it is processed to get the product that is the cleanest. There's a lot of people that are selling CBD that are maybe not, it's mixed in with a lot of other things. And CBD, of course, is from a hemp plant, but it's not the part of the hemp plant that alters the way you feel and all that other good stuff. It's definitely a healthier side way, if you want to say. Does anybody want to add, Amber?
Yeah. So I do use CBD oil myself, and I did some research to figure out how, I mean, there's so many different brands. So how do you find out? And I actually went into a place in Colorado is where I kind of got turned on to trying it. And I found that there's, just like Jeff said, you have to find out how it is processed, how it's extracted. It really needs to be extracted via CO2. And you need to check out the hemp growing standards of where it's coming from. Finding a farm that is all natural and or organic is important because of pesticides. And you want to also make sure that you're getting broad or full spectrum to get all of the benefits from the CBD. And you definitely need to make sure that there's a third-party testing report on the CBD oil that you are using. And if you check out the ingredients, there should not be anything unnatural added to it. Most of them are going to need, or it's going to need a carrier oil. So something like olive oil or avocado oil or an essential oil is fine. But if you're starting to see something that is an unnatural chemical ingredient that probably that you can't pronounce, but that's not the avocado or the olive oil or essential oil, you don't want that. You want to make sure it's very clean and not much added to it.
That's great. Judith just commented that CBD cream helped her with pain and on her osteoarthritis. And she used like a full spectrum 10 acres out of California, which I think is really interesting. Sam, Dr. Sam?
Yes. So CBD, it's definitely, I think, a great thing. I mean, it's natural when you find the right source. So I totally agree, you know, what Jeff has already said, and Amber, you definitely have to make sure it's third-party tested. But to give you like a little bit of the science breakdown, we literally have CB1 and CB2 receptors in our body. So we have what is called the endocannabinoid system that many like decades ago was an undiscovered system. It's really something that just kind of came to the forefront in the medical realm, this endocannabinoid system. And the CB1 receptors are mainly in our brain and throughout our body. And the CB2 receptors are mainly in our immune system and our gastrointestinal system. So when our body is getting the CBD element, it attaches to those receptors, which are on the cell surface, and it helps dial things down. Hence why that young lady was having decreased pain. Well, it helps dial down inflammation. 9 times out of 10, 99% of the time, inflammation is the root cause to many chronic diseases and chronic ailments. So anything ending in itis is inflammation within that particular region of the body. So when the CBD gets to that CBD receptor on that particular cell and it's able to dial down, it creates more of a homeostasis, which is what our body really needs to be healthy. When we're in a balanced state, you know, that yin and yang type pull, when everything is balanced out, you're going to be more healthier. So when it attaches to some of the cells in our brain, it really can help dial down things like depression and anxiety. It really was inspired. I had done some research myself on, it was inspired by a girl named Charlotte. I'm not sure if you guys heard of that story, but Charlotte was a young girl, American young girl in Colorado who actually had a severe case of epilepsy. And her parents gave her cannabis, but it had high CBD and low THC. Well, another thing is the THC has to be extremely low, less than 0.3%. But the results from her ability to decrease her seizures is really what drove the inspiration of the CBD movement.
And they've been doing a lot of research on migrainosis, on migraines. And the oral CBD has been found to be very effective, where you put it under your tongue. My son has migrainosis, gets extreme migraines, and he'll do that in the morning, and it's an anti-inflammatory, and it really works very well. And there's also, with the cream, 60% of what you put on the surface of your skin gets absorbed in. So Judith, with her CBD cream, it's working. It helps with that inflammation, and it really does help. That's good stuff. Thank you for that analysis, Dr. Sam. We love that. Now, branch chain amino acids, BCAAs, are commonly pushed to increase muscle size. But what are they, and should we be pushing these things? Amber?
So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the study that I found, and then I definitely think Dr. Sam needs to give you the medical side of it because she has a great explanation about the BCAA. So I'll leave the technical stuff for her. But I read an article in the Journal of the International Society of Sports Nutrition. It's by Robert R. Wolf, and they did some testing on BCAAs. A lot of people will get these. It's usually a powder. You put it in a drink. They'll have it before or during their workout. And in this study, they found that all of these claims about BCAAs, that stimulating muscle protein synthesis, were incorrect. And there was no credible evidence to show that that was helping at all. And in fact, in their study, they found that there was a decrease in muscle protein synthesis. So really, BCAAs, in my opinion, are a waste of money. They're not going to do what they say that they're going to do. In fact, let's go back to that whole food nutrition. If you want to increase your muscle size, if you want to get that muscle protein synthesis happening, well, you eat some protein before and after your workout, and that creates that protein synthesis. So, Dr. Sam, tell us the technical details about that, though.
Yeah.
Why didn't you ask me? I'm going to say it right there. I'm a little surprised, a little hurt, but I think Dr. Sam is going to do a better job.
I'm sorry, Jeff.
Yes. I love it. And, I think I came across that same article, Amber, and I am totally in agreement with you. I do not see a benefit for BCAAs. To kind of break down a little bit more about how that is in our body, branch chain amino acids. So amino acids, of course, are the building blocks to our physiological makeup and the physiological makeup of proteins, right? So we need all of the essential amino acids. So we have essential amino acids and we have non-essential amino acids. We have a total of 20. But we have 11 what we call non-essential amino acids in our body, that because our body can produce those particular amino acids. The essential, we have 9 of those that our body cannot produce and has to get it from our diet. So 3 out of the nine essential amino acids are what they make up the branch chain amino acids, which is 3 out of the 9. It's leucine, isoleucine, and valine. And the research on leucine is the most researched amino acids because it's been shown to help with initiating the protein synthesis. So that's why, these companies are taking one article possibly and running with it, and they're misleading the population. And that's really what's disheartening sometimes, but we really have to go back to the science. And when you looked at that one article that you mentioned, they didn't even mention that the test was on rats. Okay. And this is a different physiological makeup than a human. Now, in the rat study, yes, it showed an increase in protein synthesis, but rats have an abundance of other amino acids. To truly get protein synthesis and muscle hypertrophy, meaning muscle mass building, you need a complete spectrum of all 20 amino acids. So taking branched chain amino acids alone does not even make sense that it can increase your muscle mass because it's not complete. Because a human doesn't have that abundance of amino acids like the rats did that showed that increase, and why they, kind of run with that one particular study.
There's a lot of studies that are based on mice, that are based on rats, and a lot of them do have validity. They definitely have validity, but I have to agree with you, Dr. Sam. I looked into a lot of this because my kids started looking at all these branched chain amino acid supplements and the creatine, and they just want to get bigger, and they don't want to do steroids. They know that mom would kill them. So they look out and they try to see what else they can find to supplement. And it's the eating of the protein. And I did a little extra research, and I thought, do you have to be within that 30-minute mark to get that protein? And actually, it was Alex Bryce who brought this up. If you just eat that protein within, he actually found one study that was 48 hours. Does anybody have any, you're nodding, Amber. Do you have any recommendations in that regard? And what type of protein?
Now, in fact, they talked about the proteins that would give you the best, or what they found would give you the best results for that protein synthesis. And they definitely said that things that came from milk was a good choice. And also they had tested some whey protein. Now that's a supplement, but you could just eat lean proteins like chicken, turkey, seafood, fish, those kinds of things to get your protein in for sure. Or use a quality protein supplement if you wanted to. But that whole 30-minute thing is something that has been around. I don't know if that's like, bro school, we got to do it in 30 minutes. But I've also read that it can be within 2 hours, or like you said, the 48 hours. There are several studies that show it doesn't have to be immediate. I think that for some people, though, it helps them with that hunger feeling. So at first you may not be hungry after your workout, and then all of a sudden that hunger ramps up. So if you're going to eat something good that's going to fuel your body, it can definitely help with that when you get done with a nice workout.
And Jeff, what you've been able, it's not on one of the questions here, but you have a lot of personal training clients, and you've actually done something that I was totally impressed with. His clients will take a picture of their dinner or their lunch or what they're eating, text you a photo, and you can do what do you do?
I'll either give them a thumbs up or I send them a pig. So they know, bottom line, if it's okay or if it's a pig. And then if it's a pig, first of all, have we ever seen a skinny pig? Have you ever seen a skinny pig? No. Even though it's the other white meat apparently, or lean meat, I don't know if I'm a big fan of it. But I want to say this about putting muscle mass on. I've trained a lot of men as well that want to put size on, and I'm a firm believer in, after they work out, to eat something sweet so the insulin level kind of opens up, and then they eat their protein. It doesn't have to be right away, but they need to eat something sweet and then eat, and it feeds the body more directly. Is that correct, Dr. Sam? Am I doing the wrong thing? Amber's agreeing with me.
Yeah, I don't see anything really, wrong with that. You definitely do need to have some protein after your workout, because the protein is going to help with muscle repair and really giving your body what it needs after going through your performances. But that's totally fine.
And I want to say one other thing too. It's funny, Sara, that you had talked about steroids. I'm alarmed by how many younger gentlemen are doing steroids now and they're able to get them. For me, that generation that is in high school, first of all, there's a body dysmorphia happening with our younger gentlemen with TikTok and everything else, and they have to look a certain way. And it's almost like a male version of anorexia, and it's skyrocketing. And that there's also, they're all being able to get steroids and human growth hormone readily. And they're getting it like overseas, getting it sent to them, and they don't even know what they're injecting in their bodies. And for me, it's very surprising, I think. I think it's very, very surprising. I don't know.
And we have an interesting question. I think it's from Damien. He says, or she says, I might have missed this. I take 2 capsules of fish oil, Pharmax, 2332 milligrams per serving, EPA for a lot of stuff. Is it enough or too much? Is there a better brand? Do you guys recommend fish oil supplements?
Everybody's different. To me, every individual is different. That's a broad question to kind of not know your goals. A lot of times people are just running with the hype. Okay, you have to really get down to what is my personal goals and what is the purpose of me taking this and what is my desired outcome. So, sometimes you really have to kind of sit down with a professional and kind of sort that out before I am comfortable really, recommending or saying that's the right thing for anyone to do without really sitting down and getting to know them. And, like I said, figure out what they want and what their goals are. I don't know if Amber,
I think with a lot of older adults, a lot of physicians, I'm reading another, magnesium is very important to help with sleep. Is there, these recommendations that we're getting as we get older, trying to get some, some healthier recommendations rather than taking Ambien or fish oil, taking medications that stimulate your brain so that your memory is better. Amber, what do you think of this supplementation?
So one of the things that I talk to my clients about, and I'm a big believer in, is, of course, first of all, your health behaviors. What are you doing? Are you positively lowering your stress level? Are you, lowering your caffeine level? Are you eating healthy foods? Are you trying to sleep well? So looking at all of these behaviors first. But when it comes to the supplementation, because you mentioned magnesium, and we know that that's great for helping with sleep. And of course, women, as we start going perimenopausal and menopausal, a lot of women, that magnesium level drops, and can be part of the problem. But this is where you need to work with someone who is going to test you. I'm very much encouraging of being tested to find out what you're low in. And it can't just be somebody who just tests your blood and says, okay, you're low in vitamin D, blah, blah, blah. You need someone who has a really good knowledge and will work with you to look at you as the whole picture. Because just because, let's say, your vitamin D is low, throwing vitamin D pills at that isn't necessarily going to raise your vitamin D. Maybe there's something else that's triggering your vitamin D to lower. So this is where, and it's hard to find people. Sometimes you have to find a very knowledgeable functional medicine doctor. So it does take a little bit of time and research to find that person. But I certainly think that testing first and understanding what's going on with your body before you take anything is most important.
And I also,
Jeff?
I just want to say also, when you go to your doctors, if you are taking any kind of supplementation, you have to tell your doctors what you're taking, because whatever they might prescribe to you, they don't know you're taking these other things. And so I think it's really important, especially with our mature population, that they need to reveal everything they're taking, because some things could be hurting them, but they've heard it's great. So I just want to make sure when we have our clients, when they go to their doctors, that they reveal everything they're taking. Dr. Sam.
And there's been some, Dr. Sam, I promise I'll get to you. There's been some interesting comments. Blake commented, some research on protein is being used not just for athletes, but also for building muscle in critically ill patients. For critically ill patients, ensuring optimum protein intake is important, potentially using a whey containing a source like the whey protein you talked about, Dr. Sam, and supplementing, Amber, with with vitamin D and leucine. Agents like and creatine can be used to promote muscle synthesis. It's talking, getting a little bit with, I always get a little concerned when there's words I can't pronounce. But I do wonder it's so common in older adults to have a vitamin D deficiency. It is unbelievably common. So if it's so common and it's so usual, why are we fighting against it? Dr. Sam, do you?
I think a lot of times we fail to think about the digestive system. A lot of times we have poor gut health. In our society, gut health is definitely something that we need to address. And we hear about leaky gut, irritable bowel syndrome, and we can be supplementing all day long. We can eat healthy all day long. But if your body isn't absorbing the nutrients that you're trying to feed it, then the deficiencies are going to appear. So a lot of times, gut health, if you're not addressing that, if your doctor's not bringing that up, if they're not, making sure that you have a healthy gut, it's kind of like the filtration systems in our home. I use that analogy with my clients, and if it's all clogged up and full of dust, things aren't just going to flow and be able to absorb the way it needs to. So for me, I really believe in giving the body what it needs to really thrive naturally. Pink Fiji and ginger, I use that to help with a healthy digestive system and an array of other things. Fiji and turmeric to help with anti-inflammation in my body. I tore both ACLs playing college basketball and a little semi-pro after that. So I definitely want to make sure that I target the inflammation in our system. A lot of times our digestive tracts, our intestinal tracts are inflamed. So the nutrients isn't going to cross the barrier to get into your system. Using antioxidants naturally. Muscadine is one of my favorites. These are things that are going to help free radical damage that is happening in our bodies. And a lot of times that's the underlying root cause to why we're having deficiencies as well. Toxins, chemicals, they're hitting our body on a daily basis, which is wreaking havoc within our bodies. And if we don't have something to fight against it, which is an antioxidant, that can be some of the underlying causes as well.
What do you guys, I'm just wondering, since we were talking about protein, what do you guys think of collagen? All right, you can't laugh at me. I read People magazine. I saw Jennifer Aniston on the back cover. Whatever she's doing, okay, maybe it's just a bunch of airbrush, but whatever she's doing, I want to do. So what do you think about collagen? And I love the laughter, the guttural laughter, Amber.
So I'm going to do the real world version, and I'm sure Dr. Sam is going to take the technical medical side for me. But from what I understand, you can't ingest collagen and it create it in your body. That's not how our bodies work. Am I right, Dr. Sam?
That is accurate.
So you're saying, say that again. So the bottom line is, this is stupid.
It's a waste of your money.
Yet I'm just going to tell you, Momo Foster just said collagen, protein, and also glucosamine for the joints. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Loves it.
I mean, it just depends. Yeah.
Come on, Sam, you got more than that. That's all you got. Talk to us about collagen. What are you thinking?
I mean,
and by the way, I didn't know you were so tall then. Now you played basketball. I'm like, you don't look tall on camera, but go ahead.
I did play basketball, yes. I mean, glucosamine, it has its definitely benefits. Our joints are made of collagen. So if we can add something into our body that's going to help synthesize that, then yes. But I think the research is still out there and needs to be more research done.
And I do see Judith mentioned bone broth. Okay, and I'm big on bone broth, and I'm doing collagen. Yeah. And I have no idea if it's making any change. It's not like I woke up one day and my skin was glowing and my hair was longer. I still needed a manicure and a serious pedicure. I don't know. It's not like it's an overnight thing.
Right.
The pre-workout is becoming even more common as caffeine remains the highest consumed drug in the nation. Okay, even my kid drinks a little caffeine before he goes to work out. What are some alternatives, or what else do you think will help pick up your workout? Jeff, what do you find some of your clients using or doing?
Great question. So for, we tend to be a little bit more purist, kind of the people I'm training and stuff, kind of like the panel has all kind of said. I believe in real foods, and I believe in, you're going to do a stimulant. Caffeine is a natural stimulant of the body, natural dietetic. There's a lot of things I believe in with that. But my clients are there's a lot of products out there that have a caffeine base in a water. There's a lot of water and carbonated waters that have a little bit of caffeine in there, but they're using other forms of caffeine, more from teas and other things like that, rather than the caffeine from coffee. I don't know if there's really a difference. Is there? Does anybody know? Dr. Sam's shaking her head.
I don't think there's really a difference. Caffeine is pretty much caffeine.
Yeah, I mean, and also they're eating a little bit. They'll take a snack and they'll eat it before they get there. So they have like an apple or something like that. So there's a form of sugar or carb, but yet it's one that they have to actually process a little bit more so. But I'll be honest with you, that's kind of all they're doing at my facility. They'll walk in with a McDonald's cup with iced tea in it, I'll be honest with you, but what am I going to do?
Blake has a question that I find really interesting. What type of antioxidants do you find work best with your patients or clients? And he says he's seen this quote from Harvard: a big misconception is that antioxidants are interchangeable. They aren't. Each one has unique chemical behaviors and biological properties. They almost certainly evolve as parts of an elaborate network, which each different substance or family of substances play slightly different roles. This means that no single supplement can do the work of the whole crowd. And I think you talked about a little bit of those amino acids and the different numbers and how that works together. And I'm going to tell you, Blake, I'm going to put this in the chat box, and you better do this. We are always looking for, we're always looking.
Blake?
I know Blake. Blake works with me.
Does he really?
He does. Blake Graham works with me, so we could get him on if that is where you are going.
I want him to apply to present. I'm loving this.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Dr. Sam. Please respond.
So yes, Blake Graham.
Antioxidants. All I think about, the first thing pops in my head is blueberries. Blueberries.
I can let you in on a secret. It's a secret that many people don't know about, and it's called muscadines. I don't know if you've ever heard of muscadines, but they're muscadine grapes. They are the #1 antioxidant on the planet. They're grown more so in the southeastern part of the United States, but they have over 100+ antioxidants, and they are so important for our bodies. I love them. I take them in a capsule form, and I also take it in an oil form. So a lot of people that may have heard of muscadine grapes don't know that all the nutritional value of the muscadine is actually in the seed and the skin. So when people talk about, oh, I drink muscadine wine, or I have the juice, that doesn't have the nutritional value, ladies and gentlemen. That has the good, other stuff, but it doesn't have the nutritional value. So the muscadine is an amazing antioxidant. It has resveratrol, vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin E. It also has a very unique component called tocotrienols. Tocotrienols. It's a family off of the vitamin E family that research has shown that it helps block the reproduction of new fat cells. So it helps with anti-aging, increasing your circulation, decreasing inflammation in the body naturally. That's what I'm all about. So it is a phenomenal antioxidant.
Muscadines.
Muscadines.
Yeah. I put it in the chat. I hope I spelled it correctly. But I think that's really, you might want to type it in there. Yeah, I did. I spelled it correctly. Muscadines. That's really cool. And we've got some people commenting. I've learned so much, and it's doing wonders for themselves and their family. That's really cool. I can't believe this. I just looked at my computer. It's 6:46. I'll be honest with you. I'm kind of in shock here. I can't believe that we've gone this long. I am going to real quickly, you guys, I'm going to show you, we have a wonderful convention coming up. We have our Midwest Mania convention. We have a whole business component. I'm going to mention the business component, but I do want you to know we have rooms, an entire room that is dedicated to nutrition. And I'm going to show you the nutrition schedule right here for the conference. Our schedule opens up like this. We have a whole nutrition room where we just talk about everything, protein, vitamins. We talk about all the different antioxidants, gut health, etc. I want you guys to think about that, but I also want you guys to think about business. I think that it's very important for us to look at how we're running our businesses, and I just wanted to show you a short video here. This is wonderful. So thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. I really appreciate Carter Anderson from our staff has run and managed, has herded all our cats and kept us in line. Thank you, Dr. Sam, for joining us. Thank you so much, Amber. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Love it. Thank you. And thank you everyone for joining us. We will see you on Tuesday. So we'll see you on Tuesday with another webinar. Everyone take care.
Thank you so
Enjoy.
much.
Bye.
Bye,
Thanks,
guys.